the problem is, like, more people were talking about that than Capcom Cup after Capcom Cup was over. It was like, it's such a shame. Commentary is hard, but everybody and their mother thinks that they can do it, which is why they think they can critique it. What I don't want to see in chat is I don't want anybody to be like, yeah, blah's right, or yeah, I hate this commentator, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I want to, you know, I'm going to say that, use the names and everything like that, but this is not an excuse for anybody to shit on anybody. All these commentators are great people. They all do great jobs, and that's kind of what I want to address. What happened this weekend was during Salvatore's match against Itabashi Zangief, Salvatore did a dive kick that was way too close to Itabashi Zangief. It was high, and so Itabashi blocked it, even crouching, but obviously Zangief is large. But he did that dive kick and basically cost him the match, because then Itazan punished it, killed him. Jammerz actually was on the call at that time, and his call was, that's a terrible dive kick. That's a terrible dive kick. And a lot of people in the chat were kind of like, is that too mean? Is that too mean? You know, Sajam was restreaming, and when he heard that that was terrible comment, Sajam was kind of audibly not happy with that call, I guess. But when they did the replay and they showed that dive kick again, Jammerz was like, I'm sorry, I have to reiterate this. This was a god-awful dive kick. And as soon as he said that, Sajam on his stream was what basically said, like, oh, you know what else is awful? Is this commentary. I have to mute it, right? And he muted it. And, you know, so again, I don't want to see anybody talking smack about anybody here in this chat right over here. But this set off a firestorm. And the problem is, more people were talking about that than Capcom Cup after Capcom Cup was over. It was it's such a shame. And, you know, and the hard part about this is, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit. What this kind of did was it just opened up the floodgates, right? Now, everybody was just talking shit about all the commentators. It was just I hate this I hate this commentator. Well, this commentator, I won't name names, but this commentator does this horrible thing. And all of a sudden it just became kind of a mini free-for-all out there. And the crazy thing is that Sajam was even saying, he was like, look, you know what? I'm not saying anymore on social media. I'm taking it directly to DMs and stuff. And so Sajam and Jammerz talked about it, and, you know, they figured it out, you know, no hard feelings. But seriously, it just kept going on social media, and everybody was talking about this and stuff. And then Brian F said something pretty early on. So Brian F says on Twitter here, he says, all I know is you gotta have thick skin to be a commentator. Shoutouts to everyone repping us on the mic. And then Swagenheimer, who I think is actually in my chat right now, says, could not pay me any money to have to deal with that. And Brian F says here, this is the tweet right here. He says, you'll get unfairly shit on as a player too, but you can do your best to keep your head down and keep grinding through it. But as a commentator, that hate is personal. And so I responded to that. Real talk, man. And I just wanted to talk about this. This is, I think, kind of important to discuss over here. Players will get lots of hate, but the weird thing about it is because we are talking to you constantly and that we are always in your ear, we're technically your connection point as a commentator. We are your connection point. And so basically, we are the easiest ones to feel like you know us. You know, you know us. And so a lot of the times when people insult you, I will tell you this right now, people have gone deep, personal against me when they shit on me. Like, people are like, well, clear, like, I've seen you blah blah before, and so like you're always like this and you need to grow up, or you know, like, people go deep when they hate on commentators. It's absolutely crazy. And I've gotten to a point now where, you know, I don't want to say I'm desensitized to it. It still hurts and it still sucks, but like, you have to learn how to just not let it kill you, basically, right? And honestly, like, that's like, it gets really bad with commentary. And you see it, like, when people started posting up the hate, they're like, this guy is boring. This guy's voice sucks. And you know, like people come after you, right? Like, they go crazy. And so, I mean, that's why I like titles. So you want to be a commentator, huh? Like, it's a tough job. It is a very, very tough job. And if you want to become anywhere, you know, as a major commentator, this is something that you have to be prepared for. But it is an unfortunate situation because people do get very, very personal, because they do feel like they know you so well, because it's all they do is hear your voice over and over and over and over again, right? And it sounds like it's that guy in the room. And the other hard part is, like, 6 people at Capcom Cup like commentating for 4 days straight. Like, even professional commentators are commentating 1 2.5 hour basketball game like maybe every other day. But like, we're commentating 4 days in a row with so few breaks. Like, something you're gonna say is gonna piss someone off, right? So like, just imagine being at the party where the guy is talking through their ass about some sport, and you're just like, eventually you're like, God, shut up. Like, you know you're wrong about everything. And so like, that's gonna happen. Like, cause you know, like, we blinked and we didn't see something, and so now I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I don't know why I did that. And the person at home watching is like, it's because that happened. God, this guy's such an idiot. And the worst thing that happens is when you hate a commentator, everything that they say wrong stands out to you so much. But like, for the commentators that you like, you won't hear it, or you'll justify it for some reason, right? Like, it's absolutely crazy. So like, it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, I mean, like, Flashy Flash mentioning Skisonic, Magus, and Z, like, these are people who kind of quit commentary because, like, just the amount of hate you get is hard to manage. It really is. Yeah, women commentators, holy crap. I mean, I thought Sherry was great this weekend, and I saw some people were being like, like, I didn't like Sherry's commentary. And I just have this weird feeling is they just said that because she's a girl, and it's just like, come on, guys, like, seriously? But like, I thought she did fantastic this weekend. Commentary is hard, and people get mad at them a lot. And you know, I often tell the story where I got mad at Mike Brown when he was the coach of the Lakers, and I was like, I wish this guy would die in a fire. And I was like, Jesus Christ, James, you're one of the chat. And the thing that I really, really want to mention is that a lot of these not all of these commentators, we're just people, man. Like, we're just people. I mean, I've had SRK articles about me where they're like, oh, James talks in this podcast about, you know, best practices for commentary, and like a bunch of responses in that SRK thread were like, oh, the best way that James can improve commentary is by leaving it, you know, like this is kind of what people say. And like, there was a lot of people that were like hating on it, and then I showed up in the thread and I was like, hey guys, if you really think my commentary is that bad, like, I'll leave. Like, I'll leave. I've done a lot of jobs here in the FGC. I can put on a different hat. Like, if you guys really hate my commentary. And the craziest thing was, it was the meanest people who were like, no, don't leave, James. Like, you just need to, like, as long as you're improved, like, you show up and all of a sudden you're human, and like, something clicks in your head. Like, oh shit, he's a human being. Fuck, that was harsh, right? Like, that clicks in your head because, like, all of a sudden I'm literally there talking to you, right? So, it's hard. You know, I hope people can remember that. And you know, I mean, literally, like, Ski Sonic, like, I feel sad for him because he was one of the first commentators. In fact, at Evo, he was like the first official commentator. There were commentators before him, but in terms of we're officially putting you in this role, it was him and Keats. It was Ski Sonic and Keats who were doing the first official commentary for Evo. He had to establish a lot of things, and, you know, he learned ways to commentate, you know, from that era and stuff like that. And God, he just, like, people were absolutely just vile towards him, and it's just like why, you know, that kind of thing. So, like, all I just really want to say is just like go easy on us, man. We're people, and what I hope people can take away from this discourse and drama that we all saw is how much hate commentators get. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to tell you to stop hating on me. I almost tweeted out, like, leave everybody alone, just start hating on me because I'm used to it now. So, like, leave everyone else alone. I'll take the brunt of this just so we can, like, stop talking about everyone else, because I hated seeing that. So I'm not telling you, like, to be nicer to us for my sake. I'm telling you to be nicer to commentators because that shit is brutal, man. Like, it hurts. You know, things like that happen, and commentators will be like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, this is like fucked up. Like, I don't know how much more of this I can kind of take, right? Oh yeah, it was not about me, and there was no need for me to take the brunt, but that's just the thing. I just didn't want everybody else to get this. And everybody hates on me all the time. Like, I feel like I'm probably one of the commentators that gets the most hate out there. And so it's like, it's hard, like, I'm like, look, people hate on me all the time. So just lay it on me if that means you could stop doing it to everybody else, you know? And that's just all where I'm coming from. And you know, it's a tough situation to be in. A lot of people end up quitting commentary because it is something that you have to learn how to handle. And it's tough, right? So yeah, I mean, I hope the thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that you saw how vile it got for Jammerz and Sajam, right? Like it was almost like everybody was waiting just for that chance to talk shit about these guys, right? And to be honest with you, it shocked me because, like, I can't even imagine Jammerz and Sajam having haters, right? Like, I think they're two of the best commentators we have. And, like, it's just like, it was crazy, right? Like, so, yeah. No. He got a scholarship for that. He got a scholarship to go into game programming school. So, it's like people were just waiting for the opportunity to talk shit about commentators. And, you know, when you look at that, obviously, if you agree with the person, you hate someone, you're like, yeah. But if you see someone, like, talking shit about your favorite commentator, you're like, bro, you know, like, just, I want people to keep in mind, like, how deep it goes for commentators. Again, players, it's like, oh, this player sucks, he's washed up, you know, but, like, for commentators, like, I hate his fucking voice, he's wrong all the time, he's really stupid, like, you know, he should just leave the scene completely. Like, dude, like, it gets, like, really brutal for us. And so, again, like, whatever, like, talk shit about me all you want, but, like, just, I hope you guys see what it's like for commentators. Because, like I said, when Brian F was like, you'll get unfairly shit on as a player too, but you can do your best to keep your head down and keep grinding through it. But as a commentator, that hate is personal. And that, like, that tweet is what inspired me to have this talk here, because it gets really, really brutal. Yeah, so Peter 0611, I get it. Like, yes, like, there were decisions made. That is not what I am here to discuss, okay? I'm not gonna discuss who was right, who was wrong, or how I feel, because as always, my personal opinion is somewhere right smack dab in the middle. Because I do this, you've heard me do this on many issues, that I will explain it in a very different way of looking at it, right? So, Eris stopped doing commentary mostly because he made more money on his stream and he hates flying. So he's better off restreaming events. So yeah, it's tough, right? So, and there was one more thing I wanted to say about commentary. Oh yeah, that's right. So the other thing too that I think is really tough for commentators, and I do feel like, part of it is on me and David, because we became obsessed with knowledge and frame data and stats and all this stuff like that. And then when Sajam became the most prominent commentator, for him, one of the things that people love about him is that he is the most knowledgeable. He can explain a situation really well. He knows, like, oh, that was this mix-up that's doing this. What we've reached is some weird point where a lot of people's evaluation of a commentator is how right they are, how accurate they are, and if there's any misinformation, that is the sign of get the fuck out of there, commentator, you suck, right? And I think this is kind of a problem, to be honest with you, because through my years of commentary, the thing that I have learned the most is that our job as a commentator is to be the conduit to the viewers. Our job is not to be right. Our job is to make sure that the viewers enjoy what they're watching, that to get them invested, and to really set the tone, to tell the story. Now, the thing about it is, you can't tell the story unless you're right most of the time. So I'm not telling you that it's okay to be wrong. I'm wrong a lot on commentary, but my mistake was that I used to say wrong things authoritatively. Nowadays, I'm like, I'm not sure, let me look this up, or you know what, I'm not gonna commit to this, or like, you know what, chat, can someone check for me? Like, I do that kind of stuff because it's worse to pretend you're right when you're wrong than it is to admit that you don't know, right? But you have to be right to be able to tell the story. Like, if you don't play at a high level and you don't understand why someone would make a certain decision, then you can't tell the story and be a conduit to the viewers because you don't know, right? Like, you're just saying false information. So absolutely, knowing your stuff and being right is very important. But in my opinion, it is not the most important thing. When one person actually critiqued me for the whole is it gonna kill thing, like, I literally had to respond, like, I actually know if it's gonna kill or not, like, at least 70% of the time. I'm definitely wrong a lot, but like, I know. But the point of me asking the question isn't that I don't know, it's to make it exciting for the viewers out there who don't have the knowledge to know whether it's gonna kill or not. If someone lands a super and you're not sure if it's gonna kill, if I'm like, oh, he's dead, so yeah, that was really cool that he did that. Like, dude, like, you are robbing, like, people out there of a really exciting moment. But if I'm like, oh my God, is this going to kill? And a lot of people don't know if it's gonna kill, they feel hype. And a lot of people have told me, they're like, no, I love it when you do that because I get hype in that moment, right? So again, my job is being a conduit to the people to make it enjoyable for them, right? Yeah, like, so yeah, see, people are saying, like, it's building tension. It adds so much hype. The job is not to be right, and somehow that's what everyone's interpretation of commentary is about now these days. And, you know, like, it's okay for commentators to be wrong once in a while. And again, we're commentating for like 6 hours in a day. Being wrong once in a while is like once every 2 hour block, right? Like, we're commentating a lot. We're tired. We like, you blink at the wrong time, or like your brain just like goes on the fritz. Like, shit happens, okay? Like, it happens. Now, obviously, if the commentator is wrong all the time, that's the issue. That's the concern, right? That's the concern. And like I said, yes, we do need knowledge. So it's not like, please put somebody up there who's just going to scream and yell and be hype all the time. That doesn't help anybody, because honestly, like, that feels fake, right? So the thing that I do, because I'm so attuned to emotions and stuff, I never fake the hype. I can tell as I'm commentating whether this thing would make me go, what? Or if this thing would just be like, oh, that's cool. And I know that. And so when it's just a, whoa, okay, yeah, that's cool. I've seen that before. I won't go into James yelling crazy mode. But if legitimately, like, if I know that I was watching at home and I'm like, what the hell? Then I get hype, right? You don't want to fake things, but again, you will dial things to 11. But as long as you're dialing the truth, the real things, the genuine things to 11, people will notice that. People can sense that. People can sense when you're genuinely hype as opposed to being fake hype. You know, like, you can tell, because when you're literally flabbergasted by something, like, the words that come out of a person's mouth is always like, you know, like, you can tell. You can tell. So, you know, that's the key right there. But again, yes, is being right important for commentary? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why Sherry is so good at commentary right now, in my opinion, is because she is a player and she talks to other top level players all the time, because she is constantly trying to get better. So, you know, she understands the mindset, the mind games, etc., etc. So that's why I really enjoyed her commentary this past weekend. You know, all of them, Jammerz, Ringe, Vicious, like, all of them are so good at analyzing situations, because a lot of them are, you know, former players and stuff. But again, like, that shouldn't be the criteria. You know, like, if someone makes a mistake or says something wrong, that is not carte blanche to now just like be like, this guy sucks. You know, like, understand, you know, that commentary is a very, very tricky subject. So, for example, day one, during all that downtime, like, Jeremy and Ringe, like, masterclass. They held it down for like over 30 minutes of downtime, and they just kept talking, and they just kept talking. And the chat's like, why do these commentators just want to hear themselves talk for so long? And you're just like, dude, like, really? Like, you think this is what they want to do? Like, honestly, like, that was like, even though that was downtime and everybody was annoyed, like, if you watch that, that's masterclass shit right there. Like, what they did on that first day during that big long downtime, like, that shows why they are some of the best commentators that exist. Yeah, Ringe had the amazing call when Blas got to grand finals. Like, I think Jeremy and Ringe should get nominated for Evo Awards for that downtime. Because that shit sucks, okay? That shit sucks. And having to do that, it's not fun. And it's great. Like, they're really good at doing that. And that's wonderful, you know? So again, like, it's a hard job. And everybody, the worst part about it is that, you know, like, oh, I want to learn to stream, but you don't really know how to stream, so it sounds hard. Or I want to be a top player, okay, but you play and you lose and you're like, well, that sucks. But everybody and their mother thinks that they can commentate amazingly. I had one person who was a top player, jumped on commentary at one time, And after he was done, he was like, I have so much more respect for David and James. Because like, I didn't even know what to say half the time. He's like, I didn't even know what to say. Like, you'll see people a lot of times when they're not pro commentators, like, you know, at certain events, like, they'll be like, oh, okay, nothing's going on. We're waiting for a match. And they just start looking at their phone. And you're like, really? Come on, dude. Like, come on. Commentary is hard, but everybody and their mother thinks that they can do it, which is why they think they can critique it. Everybody thinks they're funny. Everybody thinks they're hype. Everybody thinks they're smart. And so it's a weird situation. So, you know, again, you have to understand that the job as a commentator is so much more than you think, because there's a lot of commentators out there nowadays who are so infatuated and so in that mindset that we have to be right that they actually overanalyze a lot of things. There's too many times I watch a grand finals and like the person kills the other guy and the commentator's like, so yeah, you know, he was getting this and okay, there you go. He got the jump in and so, yep, there it is. He won. So, congratulations to player X. Yeah, great job. There it is. That's the tournament. And I'm like, dude, like, again, like, there's knowledge and then there's telling the story. There's telling the story and you're not telling the story, right? Like, is it fake hype to be like, oh, there it is. You got, like, even if it is like oh, well, that was kind of not like anticlimactic, you can at least be like, whoa, there it is. Okay, well, that's how you get the job done, and that's how you win a tournament. So congratulations to this guy for winning the tournament. You don't have to yell and shout and scream, he won. Like, if it is like kind of anticlimactic, you can just be like, yeah, okay, at this point, probably a foregone conclusion. Here he goes. There it is. Okay, got the jump in. There it is. He is taking home $100 for playing at home in his pajamas. Great job to him. Like, right? Like, that's all it takes. That's all it, like, but make it a moment, because if it's somebody who doesn't win tournaments all the time, that's going to be something that they're going to watch a lot, or like they're going to want to put in like some sort of like portfolio. They're going to want to remember that shit. They're probably going to download a copy onto their thing. And if they win a tournament and you spend the entire time going, that sucks for that other guy that I was rooting for, or like, oh, there it is, he won, cool. Like, that shit sucks, dude. Like, come on. Like, make it work for the people watching. Make it work for the people playing. That's like the super important stuff. Oh, what's up, Coach Kumo? There you go. Oh, so okay, cool. So yeah, Sajam has said that that there are a lot more budding commentators being analytical, but we need more hype commentators. Yeah, I 100% agree. Again, being right somehow became the thing, and so a lot of people trying to get into commentary is like, well, I just have to be, this frame data is this. This is plus on this. This is like, and it's like this is not this is not telling the story. So again, if a lot of people have like don't like my commentary or whatever like that, my focus is on telling the story. If that's not what you want to hear, the best thing about the FGC is that every commentator is different. So if you don't like me, you do like somebody else. Fortunately, we don't all sound the same. And that's another thing. So when a lot of people talk shit to me about my commentary, that's how I react a lot of time. I'm like, oh, you hate my commentary? That's fine. I'm not commentating for you. I'm not commentating for everyone. I have a specific audience I'm targeting, and if you don't like my commentary, at least there's somebody else in the FGC that I know you will like. And that is the beauty of the FGC commentary crew, because we all have such different personalities and we're allowed to do that, right? Like, there are going to be scenes where Yipes is not allowed to be Yipes. But like in the FGC, like, go ham, Yipes. You know, talk about bus ass all you want, you know, like, and that's what makes our commentary scene so good. And so don't try to adhere to like this or that. Don't try to be the analytical guy or whatever. Like, bring something to the table that you can bring to the table. Don't try to imitate anybody else. Be yourself and find a way to make that shit work. And that's the best way to commentate. Honestly, I've commentated with people sitting there, just tons of notes, and they're not even like watching the match because they're so busy reading their notes on matchups and all this stuff like that. And like literally, I told the person, I was like, put away the notes, feel the moment, and that's the thing. Like, that's a great way to say it. Feel the moment. Feel the moment. That is, to me, the most important thing about commentary is feeling the moment. And as much as you're like, oh, Yipes is hype, Sajam is analytical, James is emotional, you know what all three of us have in common is we feel the moment, right? Like, no matter what you think of these three commentators who you like or who you hate, like, all of us are good at feeling the moment, And I think that's really, really cool. So, who are the current best duo of commentators or trio? There's no answer to that question. There's no answer to that question. My whole point is that for everybody, it's a different group of people. It is literally a different group of people. There's just no right answer to that. Like, some people will say that, James, you're my favorite commentator. You're the best. I can only watch when you're commentating. And there are people who are like, I cannot stand listening to that idiot. Like, I have to mute because I fucking hate that guy. And like I said, for me, the way that I handle it now, the way that I don't get affected, the way that I don't let it get to me is literally that I'm like, well, cool. You like somebody else. And that's great because I'm not commentating for you. And you know what? I used to try to commentate so that everybody liked me. When I stopped doing that is, I think, when I had a big improvement jump. Because I stopped trying to please everybody and I just wanted to commentate what I felt was important, and the people who also feel that is important will appreciate that. Others won't. That's fine, because somebody else can fill that void. When I commentated with David, I moved less towards analysis because he was better at it. So I moved towards hype a little bit more. When I actually, like Kumo, Coach Kumo is in the chat right now. I commentated with him at Genesis, right? Obviously, like, I'm not trying to, like, feel myself or whatever, but, Coach Kumo was just like, oh my God, like, you know what? Like, I'm excited to commentate with you. I'm not trying to call him out or anything like that. And, I could definitely sense a little, a bit of nerves from him and stuff like that. So, whereas if I'm with Sajam and I'm with David, I don't take the lead. I let them take the lead. I often let Jeremy take the lead for things like that. But in that instance, I was like, I need to take the lead. So I took the lead. And then instead of trying to be the hype guy, I was trying to be more analytical. So all of a sudden that, like, commentary session, like, I felt like that was a really good block for myself, just to, to remind people that I'm good at analysis, because I was doing that. I was taking the Sajam role. I was taking the Ultra David role there, and I was letting, Kumo just, like, get hype and just talk about things. Or, I would say stuff, leave it open-ended enough that he could add to it, et cetera, et cetera. That's the other most important thing about commentary, is learning how to work with your co-commentator. There are commentators out there who commentate the same no matter who they're with. And that is something that they're going to have to learn, because that can cause some little problems, right? Like, it can make it harder to listen to sometimes. And so, again, like, commentary is hard, and there's a lot to it. And I do wish that everybody could try it so they can see just how fucking hard this job is, honestly. So, And Fnon in the YouTube chat says, for me, to be a commentator is to become the one who enjoys the game the most, right? And that is so important. That is so important, because, again, I've often told the stories. Someone made a highlight reel of hype Street Fighter Cross Tekken moments, and I was one of the commentators for that because me and David were commentating everything for Capcom. I hated that game. And you could listen to all these hype moments, and everything that I was saying, you could tell was just like backhanded compliments, like, oh God, that actually worked? Well, oh, cool. It sucked. Like, I listened to it and I was like, holy shit, I'm never doing this again. I'm never commentating a game I don't like ever again. It was awful. So if you do commentate something, make sure you like it. Make sure you like it. No, nothing like that happened, Psychodamo. Nothing like that happened. It was just random drama that got way overblown because, like I said, people were just waiting for the opportunity to shit on specific commentators because, like Brian F. said, people get mad personal in those situations. And Guitar Junkie says, can you give an example of one of those problematic duos? So, again, I'm sorry to be generic here, but I mentioned, you know, when two people who want to be analysts are commentating and during a grand finals, like nothing, like, oh yeah, you know, that was, yeah, this character's throw was really scary. Oh, yep, he got the kill. Yep, so there it is. Yeah, so that's this tournament. Congratulations to Blah for winning. You know, like, that's a problem. But the opposite is a problem. There have been commentary pairings where both of them want to be the hype man. And you'll hear it, like, someone says something hype, and then the other person tries to out-hype them, and then the other person tries to out-hype that, and it's miserable. It is miserable. It has happened a lot. And like I said, it is some of the most grating commentary that has ever existed because what's happening there is that two commentators want to be the best at the same thing, and instead of cooperating, they're competing. When you have two commentators who are competing while they're on the mics, that is just death right there, honestly. So, yeah, no, Mage Nicholas, that happens a lot too. So he says when Sajam feels his partner is trying to be analytical because Sajam is analytical, so he has to tech into hype, right? Yeah. The worst part is when the commentator is scared to be left behind. So I've had commentary partners before where I'm like, yeah, so this is interesting. So like, I feel like I have to take the lead. And again, Coach Kumo did not do this. That was fantastic. So like, there's a lot of times when you have commentators who are like, okay, I'll take the lead. So I'm like, okay, really interesting analysis. Like he tried to do this, and the third time he actually went to this option. And then the other commentator's like, oh yeah, and then I noticed, you know, that he came in there and, you know, he was really threatening this kind of thing, and, you know, he got scared, but he was trying really hard. This is what I call empty words. Like, you're not saying anything. You're literally saying nothing, right? Like, you're like, and he tried really hard, but in the end, he couldn't, you know, get past them. And like, I'm like, okay, cool. You're trying to do analysis. Then I go, oh my God, this situation crazy happened. And then they're like, oh my God. Like, you'll get into a situation where your co-commentator is like trying to follow you because they're not trying to get, like, they don't want to seem like they're not contributing. And it's like, it's tough, right? It's tough in that situation. And the other thing is, don't call out your commentators on stream. Like, I've done that before, even recently, and I feel bad about it. But like, you know, like, don't be like, oh my, like I had a co-commentator who kept calling a move by the wrong name. And so I kept calling it by the right name, hoping that they would notice, but it just never happened. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it. You know, kind of a thing like that. So yeah, Jeremy and Yipes punching each other back and forth, giving the other one the big winning moment. Yeah, exactly. These things are really important. So again, commentary is not as easy as people think. Everybody thinks that they can do it, but it's not that easy. So, you know, the two things I really want to say is go a little easier on commentators, and because this shit is hard, and then also like understand that, you know, even for aspiring commentators who think that analysis knowledge is what makes you a good commentator, like, again, yes, you have to be right in order to tell the story properly, but that's why you want that knowledge. It's not to show off the knowledge. You want the knowledge so you can tell the story. Sajam talks about this all the time. I want to explain the situation, so I sit there and think about how I can say it in the fastest way possible that's not confusing. Again, Sajam wants to explain this mix-up, but he's not explaining it so he can be like, I'm Sajam, look at my knowledge. No, he wants to explain it because he wants to explain why somebody made that decision. Again, it's to tell the story. Telling us what the facts are does nothing in commentary until you put it into context. Context is everything. Context is everything. So that's it. That's all I want to say about this. I've been streaming for 5 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Again, I'm saying this not because I want you guys to go easy on me, but because as a commentator, I can talk about this stuff and express it to you in a way that hopefully you guys understand what makes this job so much harder and why it sucks as a commentator when you get like literally the most hate out of everybody in the FGC. Like, it's crazy, you know? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys. And I will see you guys next time and hope that this was a enlightening little talk here. And, you know, because like I said, I approach things in ways that nobody else does. And that is why when this podcast graced your ears, it was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.